Hey everyone, welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. I'm going to be your host today, and I'm Kat Shoulders here at Worn and Wound. So Zach Kazan, unfortunately, could not be here today. He is normally our host of the podcast, so sorry, you're going to have to just suck it up and deal with me for today. But I have a very special guest who I'm really excited to chat with, and that is Mr. Liam O'Donnell. Hey Liam, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on today.
Of course. Obviously, we go way back. I have said this many times on this podcast, in fact, that you have taught me a lot of what I know, and where I am today wouldn't be because of you. So I have a lot of appreciation for everything you've taught me over the years. And I'm excited, very excited to talk about not only watches today, but photography as well. Because I don't get that opportunity very often on this podcast. So we'll have a lot of good stuff, and we've got some great questions today. We're going to prompt from our Worn and Wound Plus group as well. So and there's some fun stuff that we're going to get into.
That's great.
But before we dive in, I already see what's on your wrist. But tell listeners what you're wearing today on the wrist.
Today I'm wearing the Tudor Pelagos in black. It's one of the earlier versions that has the ETA or ETA movement inside.
Yeah, OG.
It is a faithful, unbeatable watch. It has been through hell and back, and it's one that I reach for often.
Yeah, you've had that one for a while. Something I want to talk to you a little bit about today, too, is your collection and your sort of mindset when you are selecting watches and ones that come in and out, because unlike me, you're not someone that flips watches very often. And so I'm curious to hear sort of your ethos around, collecting in general. But that's an awesome watch. I do love the Pelagos line. And unfortunately, mine is being sent in for service. I have an FXD, the blue dial.
Oh, right. Nice.
And my bezel insert recently fell out of the bezel. So luckily it's still under warranty. So I'm sending that off to the AD, and we'll get it sent off to Tudor to get fixed. But yeah, kind of crazy. I wasn't doing anything, out of the norm.
Yeah. Is it friction fit? Is it glue? How is it actually?
It looks like it's glue to me. If there was some sort of friction, circular device or whatever inside of it, it's fallen out and I've lost it. But I do see some remnants of glue. So I assume it was just glue and there wasn't a lot of it. So it just fell out.
Oh, that's interesting. I've honestly never heard of a bezel insert on a Pelagos.
I know.
Or any Tudor coming out for that matter.
I know. It's quite odd. I posted it on my Instagram last Friday and had a lot of people comment. And it's surprising, especially at that price point for something like that to happen. But, everyone has, or has made mistakes, and maybe it just got passed through the line. They make a lot of watches, and I'm going to try to not hold it against them, and we'll get it fixed. I still really like the watch, so it's okay. I have other things I can wear when I send it off. Speaking of other things, I am wearing today my Christopher Ward Bel Canto, and this is in the
beautiful
Dragonfly. Yeah, the Dragonfly blue color that is only available at their boutique, but they do bring some to windups. Just if you know, and you can ask for it. I did pick this up in Chicago this year. I've been eyeing the Bel Canto for a while, and they have obviously so many really cool iterations of it. But a couple of people in the office have picked up this specific Dragonfly blue color, and it's just beautiful. And it's just so neat to hear the chime on the hour. I never thought that'd be a complication that I would really care much about, but after wearing it, it's really nice, and it is like, oh, it's on the hour now. It's a nice little reminder, and sort of makes me look and check the time. But yeah, it's really cool. We'll get into this a little bit later because you've had some experience with Christopher Ward in the last week or so, and what they're doing is just really cool.
Couldn't agree more. And I look forward to talking more about that watch because I have some thoughts on it too.
Awesome. Well, I want to give folks, a little bit of background on you, Liam, and sort of where you started and how you got to where you are now. You started, I know, in the early days of sort of Red Bar, but I want to let you sort of tell your journey in the watch industry.
Sure. So I got my start in the watch industry when I moved to the United States in 2016.
Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, he's Australian.
My accent doesn't quite have that Crocodile Dundee twang to it, but yes. So I moved over in 2016 and was looking for, you know, people to meet, new friends, put myself out there. And honestly, I wasn't a watch guy. I didn't own a watch. I wasn't interested in watches, but I heard about HSNY. For the life of me, I can't remember exactly how that came to be, but
Yeah.
it intrigued me. And I thought, that sounds really interesting. And I'd love to go. I had some, preconceived ideas of what it was going to be like. And I
Yeah.
couldn't have been more wrong. It was such a diverse, energetic crowd
Wow.
that were extremely enthusiastic about what was being discussed. And it really opened my eyes to the watch world and then sort of watch enthusiasm as well. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. And so
Yeah.
that to me is the catalyst, the genesis of my start in watches. And from there, I met some wonderful people who were kind enough to invite me to Red Bar. I hadn't heard about Red Bar at this point, and so it sounded very fun and exclusive and secretive to
Yeah.
me, and that was very exciting.
Yeah.
So I was invited along, and we were in the original location. Sorry, not the original location. It was the most recent one before they started moving around. So there was at
Okay.
Ichi-Yumi in Midtown, which
Oh yeah.
was such a fun digs. It was well lived in, like an old pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And I had many a fun night there, and I just started bringing my camera along. I thought it'd be fun
Yeah.
to photograph some watches. What I quickly realized is that watch enthusiasts, just as nuts as any other enthusiast that's out there. And as soon as I started taking photos,
maybe more so.
maybe. Well, I haven't got that far yet, but
Yeah.
very quickly people were asking for photos of their watches that I had taken so that they could share it on Instagram. And that's how I was introduced to the whole world of social media around watches specifically, and people
Yeah.
sharing photos of their watches or the adventures that they would have with their watches
Yeah.
or their collecting journey or whatever it may be. So it was just another way for me to make friends, interact with a really fun and exciting enthusiast crowd. And my love of watches was growing at the same time. And so
Mhm.
I think for anyone who gets into watches, I was sort of at the epicenter of watches. I mean, you have got, Adam Craniotes, who has
Yeah.
probably one of the most insane watch collections with equally fascinating stories to go along with each watch. You've got Atom Moore, Kathleen McGivney, you've got Greg Wirtz, Brett Walsdorf, so many amazing people
Yeah.
that I met through Red Bar and are still very good friends of mine, and really expanded my horizons. And a lot of them were very kind and generous with their time and resources. And eventually I landed a job at Watchnista as a photographer. And that was through Josh Shanks at the time. He was the managing editor of Watchnista, and he needed a photographer that was based in the US. And he had seen the work
Yeah.
that I had photographed at Red Bar and said, look, why don't you come take some photos for me? And I said, that'd be wonderful. And he said, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I said, even better.
Yeah.
My wife will appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, it kind of just, it snowballed from there. It
Yeah.
went from auction house photo shoots of famous people's watches to events held by brands to trade shows like Basel World, SIHH, Watches and Wonders,
Yeah.
as it's known. And it's just, it's never a dull moment. There's always something new to learn,
Yeah.
always new watches coming out. And from there, I just kind of specialized even further in sort of watch lifestyle and watch product photography. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I see myself at the moment,
Yeah.
is where my specialty lies, is in that specific field. But
Yeah.
I've done many, many different assignments, all
Yeah.
relating to watches or luxury adjacent products. But
Yeah.
it always circles back to watch product photography and watch lifestyle photography.
Yeah, which you're phenomenal at, I have to say.
That's very kind. Thank you.
And I have to ask, so as you started going to these Red Bar groups, at what point did you buy your first watch? And I'm curious what that was. I don't think I know.
I actually have never told this story to anyone.
Okay.
Because it's honestly, it's not, I don't think anyone would find any interest in it, but I'm happy to share it with you. So I made good friends with Chris Falius, who was a regular at Red Bar in New York, and more often than not, he would bring this Citizen dive watch, a ProMaster dive watch that was a Japanese domestic market only release. So it also has a Japanese day wheel and a Japanese date wheel. The dial is entirely luminescent.
Okay.
And it shines like a torch in the dark. And I was absolutely enamored by this watch. I thought it was so cool. And I don't know what the impetus was, but at some point he was like, I'm thinking of moving this watch on. Would you like to buy it? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And he offered me at a great price, and I couldn't say no. And that was my very first watch that I'd bought myself. That was, not a fashion watch or something, like that.
That's awesome. I think, were you wearing that during our I think it was a Zodiac launch we did with laser tag. It was like neon.
Yes.
I think you might have wore that watch. That may have been the first time I've seen it on you. Yeah, it was very cool because it was perfect setting for that, right? We were under black lights, and we did a big sort of launch party for a Zodiac of ours that had a bunch of lume on it, and people showed up with all of their fun lumed watches to wear during the event. It was that was probably one of the better watch events I've ever been to. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was very unconventional, and it remains one of the best watch experiences I've had.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm sure the team will love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we need another laser tag party.
Yeah. Felt like a kid's birthday party. It was so much
really
fun.
Did.
I was all hot and sweaty. I was shooting laser guns.
A dark warehouse. Yeah.
It was awesome. I was living out my LARP fantasy.
I think we all were. I think we all were living that 90s birthday party fantasy for sure.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, we obviously got to work together at Watchanista, and while my time was a little bit shorter there, we did some really, really fun projects together. And, like you mentioned, we've done everything from, small scale in studio photo shoots to on location, beachside models, production, and everything in between. And I think we'll get into some more of like the photography questions here in a bit, but it's been really awesome to see your journey. And following you even before I came onto the Watchanista team, I was a fan and just have seen your progression over the years, and it's really awesome to see that. And obviously we mark a lot of the work we do as physical. We can see it on Instagram and other platforms. So you've really come a long way, as have I, thanks to you. Again, we've worked together, and you really mentored me during my early days, and a lot of the techniques and stuff. And sometimes I even have your voice in my head as I'm like shooting something. And there's a certain shot, I call it like the Liam shot, in lifestyle. And you probably know what it is.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. And I always say, I got to do the Liam shot. But no, we had a great time. And, I think what you speak of, and just sort of this sort of snowball effect of how you came to the industry. It's sort of how I came to the industry, and it's the story of a lot of people. And I think that's what's really cool about watches. And I don't quite know if it's the same in other fields like photography or luxury fields or the car industry, if people can do that. But there seems to be just such a great opportunity in the watch space for people to grow within it. Our friend Vincent Brasesco just got nominated, president of Breguet, which is awesome, and we worked under him
wow.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, that's news to me.
Yeah.
I spoke to Vincent a few days ago, but that's phenomenal news, and that's well deserved for him. So I'm
absolutely, and very wild to see. And even our old boss Josh Shanks is now working with Oris, and is sort of living his dream life there, working with his best friend, which is just so cool for him. And yeah, I think it's really cool to see the journeys of people in this
Yeah.
industry, and where they can go and where they started out, which I think is just really cool.
I couldn't agree more, and I think there's no shortage of enthusiasm, and I think
Yeah,
the only barrier to entry is your enthusiasm, because
exactly.
everything else I think you can learn with enough determination.
Yeah,
And the other, I think the boon of the watch enthusiast space is
yeah,
people's generosity with their time and resources. I don't think
absolutely.
I've ever met as many people as I have that have been so kind and generous with their time, resources, money, experience, just giving
Yeah,
almost all of that away for free because they just love that community so much.
yeah,
So I
no,
have a lot to be
totally.
thankful for.
Yeah, it's a really fun community to be a part of, and I'm sort of tied into the photography community as well, and I have to say that, like, I feel like there's so much more, openness and love in the watch enthusiast community as a whole than there is. I think I've noticed a lot of, I guess, sort of a toxic sort of level of community, and as far as photography goes, people are really judgmental, I think. Um, Whereas in watches, I don't think that's such a thing. And yeah, it's a really nice community to be a part of, and why we're here doing what we're doing. you
I
know,
don't think I
at
would
the
have
end of the day.
stayed if it hadn't been.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, awesome story about your first watch. And I am curious because you are someone, when you think a lot before you buy a watch, which is great.
Mm.
Because I'm very impulsive. I don't always. And you have, select group of pieces in your collection that you've had for
Yeah.
a long time, and as long as I've known you, you've kept some of these watches in your collection. What's the thought process behind you buying a new watch? Because I feel like you do add things very carefully to your collection.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I appreciate you being so thoughtful of and noticing that. I don't have any kind of theme or feature that I'm ever hunting.
Yeah.
More often than not, my watches are tied to experiences.
Interesting. Okay.
And a lot of it also is just opportunity as well.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
a beautiful watch comes by and it's at the right price from the right person,
Yeah.
and I can see myself wearing it a lot, that's usually the determining factor.
Yeah.
But you obviously aren't going to buy the same watch over and over again, even though that has happened to me on numerous occasions. I have a lot of stainless steel watches that have a wider gray dial.
Yeah.
It can look a little samey sometimes, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's usually the experience
Yeah.
that's attached to the watch. So I've got a number of watches from my time at Grand Seiko,
Yeah.
and those are all tied to various features of watches that I think are really unique and special to Grand Seiko, and I think that kind of filled a gap in my collection because they
Yeah.
have so many unique technologies and dials and finishing. You could probably add just about every other Grand Seiko to your collection and still not feel like you've got enough.
Yeah.
I've also got some really fun rugged watches from Luminox. I think
Yeah. Oh yeah.
their
Yeah.
use of Carbonox and their price point, it's just a wonderful value proposition. I think
Yeah.
Luminox is a wonderful brand for people wanting to get into watches. It's very inexpensive relative to a lot of other
Yeah.
watches, especially for the quality that you're getting as well.
Totally. Yeah.
I've got some really cool vintage watches. I've got a vintage two-tone Submariner, which I love.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a huge purchase for me, and it was a little impulsive, but I'm so glad that I bought it. And I love wearing it.
Yeah. The
It
blue
just
dial, right?
blue dial,
Yeah.
this rich, deep blue dial, and the gold has just got this lovely kind of patina to it
Yeah.
that is just wonderful to look at, and it just reminds me of summer every time I put it on.
Totally.
I don't wear it often, but when I do, I very much enjoy it. I try and keep
Yeah.
that for special occasions. And then some other watches that I have been, through brands, Mondane. I've got a Nomos. I've got, what else have I got? Some awesome Seikos. I think,
Yeah.
again, Seiko is another great value for money proposition. And I think everyone should have at least one in their collection.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Um, you should have multiple in your collection.
And I do.
Yeah, many of us do. Recently, one of our contributors, Ed Jelly, he did a video on sort of heirloom watches,
Mhm.
and he has a couple of kids, and he talks about, the thought process behind buying a watch for his child. Did he really need to, or is it justification for him to get another watch, right? And he talks about that, and he's very brutally honest in the video. It's very sweet and it's very heartfelt. But on that subject, you do have a little son, and have you thought about what he might want one day? Does that cross your mind at all in your collection, as someone who's a parent?
It does. And I thought for a long time before he arrived, and I still think about it now. And I have a lot of watches that I hope that he would want to wear and keep for
Yeah.
himself. I did specifically buy, before he was born, I bought Apache watch
Oh,
from
really?
Cara
Oh,
Barrett. Yep.
yeah.
I bought
That's great.
two, and I'm going to give one to his cousin. And the other one he wears right now, actually, which is just
Oh, no
such a
way.
delight to see him wearing a little watch that
Yeah.
matches his little, chubby little wrist. And
Yeah.
he actually enjoys wearing it. He doesn't tear it off. So it's
That's
a
awesome.
sign of good things to come.
That's cute.
But he was born during my time at Grand Seiko,
Yeah.
and I had bought him a watch from their Heritage Collection, and it is the SBGJ 255, I believe.
Okay.
It's a GMT white opaline dial. It's got the 44 GS case. It's a titanium case. It's a
Oh, yeah.
beautiful watch, very simple, but mechanically impressive. It's got a really lovely, unique rotor on the back that's got this kind of gold color to it.
Yeah.
And while I love white dial watches in stainless steel cases, what drew me to this watch specifically was the fact that it had a GMT function.
Yeah.
And for me, that feels like a very strong connection to home, because, out of the year, Australia is always 14 or 15-hour time difference
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
from here on the East Coast. It's sometimes hard to calculate in your mind.
Yeah.
So having a watch that does it for you is
Yeah.
very convenient, but also it's a lovely reminder of home, and I hope that it will be that for him as well.
That's really sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. It's a beautiful watch. I can sometimes, I'll admit, get lost in the releases of Grand Seiko, because they sometimes do a lot, and there's things that just sort of miss my eye. I feel like I haven't really seen that gold rotor. That's really cool on the back of it.
It's a really unique finish.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the treatment
Yeah.
that it's been given, but it basically takes
It's beautiful.
the metal and gives it this kind of oxidized kind of look to it.
Yeah. That's really great.
Yeah.
And you are also an owner of a Tenograph, which I don't know many people that that own that. I think that chronograph is really, I would say, underrated in the watch space. I've gone hands on several times in my time at Worn and Wound, and we've gotten to shoot it, and we've done videos on it. And every time I see it, I'm like, this is actually like a really awesome chronograph, that I think kind of gets missed in the talks of chronographs out there, right? Everyone talks about the Daytona or the Speedy, and this one, or the Zenith, But yeah, it's a really, really cool watch. I think it's awesome that you have one in your collection.
It's a phenomenal watch. I agree.
Yeah, super sporty.
Very sporty.
Yeah.
I think it fits Grand Seiko's DNA incredibly well.
Yeah.
I think it is the beginning of their new era of design language with the Evolution 9 collection.
Yeah.
I feel like it really exemplifies the direction that they're going, and it really stands apart from everything that came before it.
Yeah.
The blue dial is absolutely stunning with the Mount Iwate pattern on it. You've got these beautiful ridges that has this wonderful specularity to it in broad sunlight. And then, in a dark room, it has this deep ocean water kind of look to it, which I think is great. Most Grand Seiko dials have that kind of depth and chameleon-like nature to it, where it changes in whatever kind of environment you're in. The haptic feedback of it is lovely. The pushes feel great. It's a pleasure to wind. The finishing on the movement is absolutely insane. And I think it's definitely my favorite style of finishing that Grand Seiko does. With it's almost like
Really?
it's like a sandblasted bridge
Mm,
plates that give you this really ultra modern feel, like a Gronfeld
yeah.
or a
Yeah.
Gribble Force. It has this really modern look to it with a beautiful rotor and a lot of incredible technology behind it in its escapement with its
Yeah.
10 beats. My only complaint, and I feel like I'm not alone with in this complaint, but the bracelet to me leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And the head of the watch, I think, is well worth 14,000 plus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But for a watch that's $14,000, I don't think the bracelet matches the price. And I think
Yeah.
there's a $3,000 Tudor has a better bracelet than that watch
Yeah.
does, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I would love to see I love a nice taper, on a bracelet. And I think that's something Grand Seiko doesn't really do in general with a lot of their watches. If they do, it's very, very minimal.
Mm,
And I like a nice, like, wide at the lug and then it tapers quite down to the clasp. Um,
absolutely.
just sort of adds again a level of sportiness, I think, to the watch. And
Yeah.
maybe even makes it a little bit more feminine in nature, which is not a bad thing. I think to add to things that look inherently very masculine, it's nice to have that nice tapered bracelet that sort of
Mm,
balances it. And then of course the micro adjust, which Grand Seiko has now, we'll see where it goes. They have started to add, and hopefully they will bring that along to a lot of new models that they release. But it's good to see that they're listening,
totally. It's a
to the
welcome
community.
addition.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think, like anything that Grand Seiko does, they don't do it
Yeah,
half-hearted.
yeah,
They go all in,
yeah,
and I think they put a lot of time and effort into this, using their design language. I know that there's a lot of restrictions and limitations to creating technologies like that with patents
yeah,
and whatnot, so it can be quite tricky to actually come up with a new type of bracelet that doesn't infringe
absolutely.
on patents and things like that.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that it's now finally a part of their bracelet design, and I look forward to seeing it being iterated on and come to new watches as they're released.
yeah, same.
And I think that's going to change the value proposition for Grand Seikos for a lot of people, because I know that that's
Yeah.
been a hang up for a lot of people. I
Yeah.
agree with the taper. The taper for me is a comfort thing.
Mhm.
I also think it's very aesthetically pleasing
Mhm.
seeing a watch go from 20 to 16.
Yeah.
But when you've got a Grand Seiko that sits at 22,
Yeah.
23,
Yeah.
24, and tapers to like 20, 19, and 18,
Yeah.
it looks unrefined.
Yeah, you think
But I
so?
know what they're going
Yeah.
for. I know
Yeah.
that it's for robustness,
Mhm.
it's for that very strong masculine look.
Yeah.
And I understand why they designed it that way.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, and I understand. I think at the end of the day, they are, they're traditional,
Hmm.
and the people that are designing the watches are traditional. And even though we, as a watch community, I, as a woman, am buying watches designed for a man, they're not necessarily thinking of that, and that's okay. I think there's brands that are allowed to be traditional in their ways,
Mm.
and um, they do offer the ladies pieces that do that do have the taper, but they're much smaller in
Yeah.
nature, which is not really my thing. But yeah, I think it just kind of adds a level of refinement, I think, overall, when it's just like, oh, they thought about the bracelet rather than
Yeah.
just like it feels almost like an afterthought too. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
think there's a
sure.
lot of exciting things to come, and I think
Yeah.
people will only continue to be impressed by Grand Seiko's
Yeah.
research and development and solving problems that people didn't even know existed,
Yeah.
creating wonderful things with that in mind.
Yeah, and when you made the move from Watchanisa to Grand Seiko, I thought, what a perfect brand for Liam, because the dials are just insane,
Hmm.
and to be honest, can be really difficult to photograph. I've had a hard time really conveying the detail in a Grand Seiko dial, because there's things that you see with the naked eye, but you put a lens on it and you're like, oh, it's just really hard. And it's just a whole setup to try to get really the look that you see in person, right? With
Yeah.
light and moving angles and things like that. And I thought, Oh man, they got a good one because I was like, I know the photography from here on out. Because I will say, honestly, just brutally honest, their advertising images never matched what I saw online with Grand Seiko. They were never realistic. And a lot of people, not only me, were very let down when they would go see it in person. Just like, oh, this didn't look like what it looked like online.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really awesome just to see your time there. When I saw a photo, I was like, oh, that's Liam's wrist. And I know that that looks the way it looks in real life. And I think you did a great job of, you know, just conveying the realism of those dials and the colors and the texture. They are not always easy to easy to shoot. And so yeah, I was really excited when you jumped on board with them. And but yeah, as of late, you've been freelancing and you've been doing a lot of work with us and our team, and you've gone on some fun press trips that I wanna quickly chat about before we dive into some of the photography questions.
Yeah.
But this summer you got to go down to Miami with the IWC team and F1. So I want to chat a little bit about that and just what is your experience? Are you an F1 fan in general?
I'm not.
Okay, I'm not either.
I'm not. But that doesn't mean that I didn't love and appreciate what we were doing. I was in awe of the organization and the dedication from everyone that was there. No matter what their role was, everyone had a job to do, and they did it with, the importance of any other component of a race team. And I honestly, I loved every moment of being down there in Miami for the F1. And IWC was very gracious with it, with their time and resources, and treated us to an absolutely magnificent time and access that I don't think anyone could ever get.
Yeah. Did you guys go down to what do they call it? The pit area?
We were in the pit.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Very one better. We got to ride on the racetrack.
Oh, wow.
On bicycles. We got to do the entire circuit.
Oh, no
after the race had finished. It was
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
It was very cool. It was very,
awesome.
Very cool. So yeah,
much different speed.
Yes. Yes, it was. If the cars were to go by, you probably wouldn't even see them go by. That's how fast they go down those straight. But it was wonderful, and it was actually surprising to me. I didn't actually know this, but a lot of the team, once the race is over and the track is cleared, a lot of them go for a run around the track.
Really?
Often they work such long days and travel around so much, they don't have a lot of time to go somewhere to exercise, or don't really have the facilities to do so. So it's kind of a routine and for them to run around the racetrack together as, small groups and whatnot. It's really, really cool to see.
Interesting.
So as we were riding around, we were seeing all of the different pit crews running around the track. That's
great. Yeah, that's great. Really cool. Did you watch the F1 movie?
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list, and I will be seeing it within the next month or so. But
I'm sure it'll be on Apple in no time. I feel like
when you've got a young kid, it's hard to get to the
totally. I think these movies, they just don't stay in theaters very long anymore. They're usually on streaming within 3 or 4 weeks of I think premiering. But it is an Apple movie, so I assume that Apple will have it really soon. I only mentioned that because there's some running that takes place on the track, and now that you're saying they actually they do that, so that's kind of cool to see that is something they actually do. It's not just a movie thing.
No, it's true. And we, as a part of our itinerary, we also got to see and listen to a few of the movie the actors and the racers, the drivers. Speak on a panel at an evening event, and it was really cool to see. We got to George Russell was there, Jerry Bruckheimer was there, and it was really cool to get their insight to such a technical movie. A lot of new technologies were created to get the shots that they were taking. Similar to, say, Top Gun Maverick. They say the same kind of approach to it, very methodical, very technically intense, but they pulled off some shots that have never been done before. And
my gosh.
Just from the previews alone in the movie are exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to watch it and hear your thoughts on it, because whether you inherently agree it's a good movie or not, I think everyone really can appreciate, and the feedback I've heard is like everyone appreciates the cinematography of
Mm.
this film, and you feel like you're in the driver's seat in a lot of the shots, and it's a really cool point of view that hasn't
That's
really been
awesome.
done in the past. Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's high paced. The whole movie is like action packed from the start to the finish. It's just a really like similar to Top Gun. It's a fun like summer flick to watch. And who doesn't want to watch like Brad Pitt for 2 hours? It's not a bad thing.
Okay, no complaints from me.
Yeah. Well, I'm similar to you. I'm not, totally into F1. However, like it's really funny because I follow most of the drivers just like on Instagram. I find like the world, and I've watched a couple of seasons of the Drive to Survive show, and I'm sort of in the world from like an outsider's perspective. I know the drivers, I know when the races are, but I don't actually watch the races, and because I personally I find them boring to watch. But I see what happens afterwards, and I sort of catch myself up. So I always kind of know what's going on, but I don't actually watch the races happening. I think it's something that's really I think more enjoyable when you're there, and you can speak to this being there. Those cars go so freaking fast. It is insane. And I've not even seen F1. I've only seen like IndyCar, which is a level I would say below that. And you took some incredible images while you were out there, and maybe you can speak to the difficulty of trying to pan and get some shots. I can't imagine like burst mode, to the highest degree.
Oh yeah,
trying to get those shots.
I well used the burst feature on the
Yeah.
Canon R5. It had, I think you can the burst on that is crazy.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of frames in 1 sec, but just trying to keep your lens on the car as you're panning is hard. And really, it's just a spray and pray kind of scenario. You're just doing it enough times that you'll hopefully get one shot.
A couple,
halfway decent. So honestly, you're not even reviewing the images after you take them. You just rinse and repeat. You'll pan, follow.
Wait for the buffer to clear, and then back again.
Totally whip right back, and then just you look like you're at a tennis match. You just your head's going from left to right.
Yeah.
But
what lens did you?
At least one shot.
Yeah, what lens did you take with you for that?
I had the 70-200, the Canon 70-200. I think I could have benefited from a little more reach. Maybe a 400 millimeter would have got me a little closer.
Yeah.
But the 70-200 did a wonderful job. Where we were positioned in the pits was close enough on the straight that I could get a decent shot, and then with the R5 I can crop in a little further.
Definitely,
make it seem a little closer. But
well, and I also like I can really appreciate. I mean, there's something to be said about like a close up of the car on the track, but I also like seeing the different parts of the track as well, and even some of like the background to the image, and I think for. If we'll link it to the show notes so people can check it out. But really, really awesome shots. I thought the same thing. I took a 70-200 when I went to the Indy 500 years ago, and thought, I could have really it's like 200-400 or something, with a little bit extra reach, but it was still a ton of fun. And like you mentioned, you just shoot away and hope you got a couple.
Absolutely. I think there are some things you can do physically yourself to put yourself in a better position.
A monopod or something.
Good sport photography, specifically cars. I think sitting at a bend, on the inside of a bend, and you have something relatively wide, a 35 or a 50 or a 70, and you track the car as it comes through the bend, because you're getting fast panning motion, but the car is slow. So the chances of getting a really good panning shot are great there. Trying to track one as it comes down to straight is really difficult.
They're going so, I mean, that's
so
the fastest
fast.
they're going. Yeah.
And the car will end up at the front of the frame or the back of the frame, or like the tail end of it.
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, even just with panning, it's hard to really capture it really straight on. I mean, you might get it again after doing it several times, but the timing just has to be like really perfect, because they're moving incredibly fast.
I think you can increase the chances, but honestly, it is just a chance kind of game, and you just need to give yourself as many chances to get a good shot.
Totally. And then what was it, within the last week you were with the Christopher Ward team in New York, right?
I was very graciously invited to their activation with the Everton Football Club at the beginning of their summer series,
Yeah.
which is, I believe, like an exhibition kind of program where they're playing football matches here in the US.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute delight to meet the team and the players and to watch a live taping of the Men in Blazers podcast.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't know anything about football, but I was laughing along with the rest of them, but just because it was just so funny. It was universally funny, the stuff that they were talking about, and
Yeah.
the just the love and the vibe from the people who love that team and love football in general was just a delight to be around.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
we got to watch them at a training clinic on
cool.
On Thursday. We had a small little get together at their home pub at the Turnmill pub, and then on Friday night we had the taping of the podcast, which was a lot of fun. That was over at Racket in the Meatpacking District. And the game was on Saturday, which unfortunately I didn't get to attend, but I heard that it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. What did you have on the wrist during that press trip? I think you were you wearing one of the Locos the other day when we were chatting?
I had two watches that I was
Okay.
switching between. I had the Loco, which was a lot of fun. It was my first time wearing a Loco.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop looking at it. It was such a beautiful watch. And for the price, phenomenal value for money. I don't know of any other watch you could buy that looks like that at that price, honestly. The Christopher Ward are making incredible watches, and I will certainly be adding one to my collection in the very near future.
Yeah.
The other one that I had was, I'm blanking on the name. It's orange dial, large luminescent blocks. Like they.
Oh, is the is one of the dive ones with the big block. The name slips me as well, but I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I forgot the name there, but that watch was I've seen so many dive watches and so many tool watches in my time with the watch industry, but this was definitely one of the cooler ones I've seen, with the level of texture on the dial, the way that the light plays with the crystal on the dial. You had this beautiful specularity.
It's the Trident Lumiere.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one with like a burnt orange dial.
Yeah.
You have these giant similar to the Pelagos, with these giant block pieces of luminescent material. And they don't use Lumibrite, they don't use Superluminova. They have like another proprietary luminescent material, and it is blows you away how good it is. It's even floating on the hands, like the entire hands are made out of balloon as well. So definitely one of the cooler looking sport tool watches you can get out there, and it's titanium too, so it's super light. Bracelet is exceptionally well finished, good value for money. Yeah, I would easily buy one of those.
They call the material Globalite XP. XP. So that's kind of like sort of their own little trademark to that.
Yeah.
It is incredibly cool. We've had this watch in the office for reviews, and it's pretty impressive. I am a sucker for lume, let me tell you. That is like, I just think it's cool. Like, maybe it's just really immature of me. I have watches that it makes me happy when I wake up in the middle of the night and they're on my bedside table and they're glowing. I just like, it brings a smile to my face. And
same.
I get kind of bummed when I have a watch that doesn't. And I know that not every watch needs to have lume, and no. I'm accepting that very much so. But on a dive watch like this, on a tool watch, it's really nice to have. And I do, these markers are just big and chunky, and it is very, very bright, very, very bright. And if you're someone that loves lume and you're looking for, kind of a cool diver, this is definitely one that you should look at. Again, I kind of think this gets a little bit overlooked when people are talking about, dive watches. But, speaking of the time that we both sort of came into the industry, Christopher Ward, at least from my perspective, was really popular, but had sort of a reputation of, being kind of an homage brand and kind of copying others. It is so cool to see where they're going, and the innovation that they've started to bring to the company, and offering watches like, what I'm wearing today, the Bel Canto. And you look at this and you're like, this doesn't look like a Christopher Ward from 10 years ago, right? This
Not
is
even
like
the same brand.
no, it's incredibly cool what Mike France has done over there and the whole team. And awesome that you got to hang out with them and during the football stuff, because there was, maybe it was like last year, the year before at Wind Up Chicago, there was a big football / soccer, whatever you call it, match happening. And maybe it was his team. I actually don't know because I know nothing about football, but they were ecstatic. And at one point, the whole entire team was yelling and up in arms. And I actually can't remember if they won or lost the game, but it was a lot of fun to see. They're very passionate over there about football. The whole team.
I don't think I've seen a more
really fun.
passionate people about anything than a football fan. It is infectious and fun. And
Mike Pearson's passionate about everything. He's passionate about life. That guy. He's awesome to be around.
Yeah, Mike Pearson is a wonderful, wonderful person to be around.
Yeah,
it's hard not to smile when you're at this company.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about wanting to buy watches because of experiences and things like that. And a big reason that I bought this watch that I'm wearing, the Belcanto, was obviously I was influenced by other Worn and Wound members, but I got to go to their Dallas store and I got to shoot their new space and had just such a wonderful few days with the team there. And again, it sort of like led me to really wanting to buy something special. And I got to shoot this specific watch while I was there too, and did a highlight of it at the time. And so it means a little bit more because I have that memory and that experience with their team. And I do that a lot. I do that a lot with either trips or, it happens a lot at Wind Up too. You meet someone and you get on right off the bat and you're like, oh, like I want to savor this moment, this memory, and this time. And you buy a watch, and it is kind of impulse, but it's also special at the same time.
I think that's a lovely way to be, and I'm glad that was.
I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if I recommend it to everybody because I have too many watches. But it is nice, and it's very special, and I'm really glad that you got to go hands on with those watches. They are really, really cool.
It was a privilege, and I had never been hands on with Christopher Ward before, and I am a fan and a promoter of their product. Honestly, from the people to the products, I think they don't get enough respect and praise for what they're doing, and I think the transformation that they've had over the last decade is remarkable.
Yeah.
Not that what they were doing was bad before.
No, not at all.
The way that they've reinvented themselves is truly magical to watch.
Totally. We always get really excited when we see a press release coming through our inbox from them. We never know what it is now. Yeah, it's really exciting for us. All right. Well, let's dive into some photography related questions. We got a few from our Worn and Wound Plus members. All right. So we'll kind of go down the list here. But from Jake, he asked, on the gear side of things, what are the signals in photos or use that you're Okay, I understand what he's saying here. On the gear side of thing, what are some of the signals that you see that just sort of indicates that you're outgrowing your gear and you need to upgrade?
That's a great question, and I feel like it's easy to get caught in what I call gear creep, where you think the next piece of gear is going to solve that problem, and then you find 10 more problems to solve.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get caught up in thinking that gear is going to solve that problem. And sometimes it does. But I think it depends on the context. Okay. So if you're in commercial work, if it is slowing down your workflow, if it is, causing you to miss shots because of lousy autofocus, or the buffer of your camera is filling up and you're not getting the shots because, it can't keep up with the pace of what you're shooting.
Yeah.
Or the resolution isn't high enough for you to get in and see more detail. I think, those are all telltale signs. Obvious when you say it like that, but still things, I think those are valid reasons to look at improving your gear.
Yeah.
I think for someone who shoots for themselves and it's a personal matter, I think buy what makes you happy, but I think also don't expect it to solve whatever problem you have. And I would encourage you to challenge yourself to shoot in different ways that you haven't
Yeah,
shot before. Give
absolutely.
yourself like self assignments,
Yeah.
or like give yourself restrictions. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, when you go to this thing, you can
Mhm.
only take this camera and this one lens,
Yeah.
and you have to shoot this way.
Yeah.
And I think that will help unlock some new skills or ways to approach photographing things.
Totally. That's a great answer, and I think, I've experienced a lot of the same questions in my time as a photographer, and I've certainly got I think they call it, GAS, gear acquisition syndrome.
Well, I got it
I've
bad.
Yeah. We all have bad gas.
Yeah.
But, it's very easy to get caught up in new tech, and,
Yeah.
you made some good points, about really just enjoying what you're shooting with and really making sure that you've given yourself the opportunity to test it and really just I say this all a pros and cons list and
Mhm.
writing out what your needs are because I don't think the perfect camera exists. I just don't.
No.
Um, I think there's always going to be something that's missing from a camera tech wise or feeling or whatever that is. You and me have both shot almost everything that's out there at this point,
Yeah.
and it's about feeling. A lot of it's about feeling, and
Yeah.
to that point, I've almost like downgraded myself in the last probably year to maybe 2 years where
Yep.
yeah, I'm not shooting with the latest and greatest Canon anymore. I've gone to a Leica SL2, which is in a lot of ways an old camera at this point, and it doesn't shoot as fast, and the autofocus isn't as good, and it doesn't have all these things that I used to shoot with. However, it's allowed me to slow down. It's allowed me to have a better experience when I am shooting, and I'm much happier with the result, even if it takes me a little bit longer. It's still a very good camera, it may not be as fast as the latest Sony or Canon or Nikon or whatever, but I've valued the experience more than the tech specs. And having shot a lot of different cameras, I know what I want out of a camera, right? And it's a certain look that I value. It's a certain way I edit. But for someone else, maybe they do need the extra, shutter speed
Yep.
or the extra battery life, or there's so many different factors. But definitely don't. I agree with you. Don't let yourself just get caught up in, oh, this is the new shiny thing. I need it, and what I have doesn't work. Because I think you can be very happy with things that are older and of
Yeah.
lesser tech wise. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great
Any
question,
chance that I
Jake.
get, I try and buy secondhand. I don't think
Yeah.
buying things new is.
No.
I mean,
And
I
there's so many
prefer
photographers that trade in cameras constantly. Like there's
totally.
so many great deals out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's some people that do need those latest and greatest features to
Yeah.
reduce their workflow and efficiencies. And I think,
Totally.
that's the right approach for them. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think whatever you can do to reduce the friction of what you're
Yeah.
doing and to enjoy it more and to reduce the friction, I think those are two valuable yardsticks to determining whether or not a gear upgrade is necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question here from Elbert. What's your ideal setup for a wrist shot? And he just has in parentheses, lens settings,
Yeah.
maybe lighting or angle. What's your go-to if you're handed a watch right now and you had to shoot a quick wrist shot with it?
I haven't quite figured out what my ideal wrist shot is. And I think
Yeah.
there's so many other photographers that are so much better at this than me. And I haven't quite gotten to a place where I'm happy with it. I feel like
Yeah.
I've got a style, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's where I ultimately want to be. But I think
Hmm.
if you're capturing photos for yourself to share online and this isn't commercial work,
Hmm.
then it doesn't need this level of scrutiny. But
Yeah.
for me right now, like I've got a Canon R5, I've got a 100 mil macro L series, and at this stage, like I had to reduce my gear very quickly because a lot of it was through work, and so I had
Yeah.
to then reacquire stuff. So right now I'm at a pretty bare level, enough to do what I need to do, but
Yeah.
I don't have all the special tools and
Yeah.
doodads and all that kind of stuff. So right now it's as jury rigged as you can get. Like I'm
Yeah.
balancing a diffuser on my head.
Yeah.
I'm holding my 100 mil macro lens by the barrel.
100 mil, you're holding that? Well, you're tall. You have long
Yeah,
arms. I was
you know,
gonna
it's
say,
like
I don't think I have the reach for
it's like
that.
the MySpace selfie. You know, you gotta.
Yeah, way up there.
And then I've got the remote control tether plugged in, and so I've
Yeah.
got that in my watch hand,
Oh, so you can see.
and I'm holding the lens, so I don't have to try and
Okay.
press the shutter on the
Okay.
camera.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
right now works. It's fine. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'd love to put it on a tripod, keep it
Yeah.
still. That
Yeah.
would help increase
Can
the
sort of you
sharpness.
start to level up, right? You put it on the tripod and then you bring the light in and then it really can level up. But this is like, I love that you're kind of describing your go-to sort of bare
Yeah,
bones, what you
look,
can do in a second. Yeah.
Scrappy is best. I
Yeah.
think, and you and I both learnt this by having to shoot at trade shows, and I
Hmm.
feel like that is the
Oh,
crucible
oh my
for
gosh.
photographers
It's so
of
scary.
watches,
Yeah.
because you have to come up with very creative ways to shoot stuff in the
Yeah.
shortest amount of time possible
Yeah. And you
without
walk into
getting.
a black room sometimes, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like you
Yeah.
never know what you're going to walk into, and so you
Yeah.
need to be very agile and adaptable. And I feel like we're getting
Yeah.
away from the question here, but
Yeah.
there's no one right answer, and I think it's
Yeah.
different for everyone. Some people like to shoot at 35 millimeter that has a
Yeah.
nice minimum focus distance, and you get a
Sure.
little more
I like a
context in
35 for a
frame.
wrist shot. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's much easier because you can kind of rest it on your shoulder.
Yeah.
I think Wrist Studies called it the parrot, you know, where you just kind
Yeah.
of rest it on
Yeah.
your shoulder and you can shoot down and you get, you know, all that depth of field on the shirt and the cuff
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't want to be rigid and lock myself into a very set formula.
Yeah.
I think adapting to the environment that you're in is probably the better approach to take.
Yeah. Totally.
Knowing, you know, if you see a window and there's some really nice ambient light coming in, you know,
Yeah.
go as close to the window as you can without getting the reflection of the sun or the light source in your watch. You know,
Yep.
point it towards the roof there just to get it to block that reflection just a little bit, but you get enough light on the watch. That
Yeah,
can be an
absolutely.
awesome shot, and all you need is just a camera
Yeah.
at that point. You could even
Yeah,
do
a
it with
lot
an
of
iPhone.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of my quick shots that I do just for Instagram purposes only happen here in
Yeah.
my office. And I have I'm blessed to have white walls. So I go up by the window and then I close the white blinds, which sort of act in a way as a kind of diffuser without me having to add an extra level. And that's it. You know, you're kind of just standing there. If you've got curtains that are white or cream, kind of close those. Those will act as a nice little diffusion material. Or
Yep.
you can just go outside and step in the shade for a second, and you can add a level of diffusion that way. There's all sorts of things you can do without adding, you know, fancy flashes and lighting sources that we have. Yeah,
Totally. And
some of my favorite shots are just like the ones that I shot off the cuff, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that in like 30 seconds? And it looks so good. That I can't replicate it again.
And I would even say that shooting in full sunlight is also a great choice.
Yeah.
When you've got a watch that needs that level of light to bring out its details. Grand Seiko is a good example of that. You know, there's so much detail. And they can look really dark and very flat with a diffuser and that kind of thing. And so you need that specularity to get all the little edges and ridges to pop and give you that contrast. So
yeah. And I'll just add to that. I think something that gets talked about a lot in you know, talking about photography with watches is diffusion. And while I agree that, you know, a level of diffusion is nice, I've become more comfortable, and I know you have too, and just shooting in direct sunlight and playing with those shadows and playing with the harshness. And as long as you expose correctly, like, it's still going to be a really cool shot. And there are some watches that look entirely different when shot in direct sun, or even with a big, you know, it could be a strobe or something, light source directly on it versus a diffused light, and adds so much character. And honestly, I think at times looks more real because that's what most people are outside in harsh light looking down at their wrists. So yeah, don't be afraid to just go outside in the direct sunlight. And you know, you've got a little exposure meter on your iPhone camera, move it down a little bit so your wrist isn't completely blown out. And have fun with shadows.
Yeah, totally. And it's probably not the answer that Albert was looking for, because there isn't one formula that works. And if you find that one formula,
I think we threw out a lot of tips though.
Yeah, I think learning to read the situation that you're in and being able to adapt, I think that is the skill that is worth learning. Not you need this
Yeah.
setting with this lens and this light in this room, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Coming down the list here, this is actually a pretty interesting question, and we might have time for just a couple more here. But he says there was an old friend of his from years ago who was a friend of Ansel Adams
Mm.
and has some original Adams portraits at home. He asked if you've ever been interested in long form type landscape photography, which I'm curious to know too. If you've ever had any interest in landscape stuff.
I love landscape photography. I very much appreciate the craft of it, and I very much enjoy seeing new creators in that space, as well as
Hmm.
the legacy, the yeah, the Ansel Adams of the world and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I would love to do more of it. I would love to make more time for it to happen. Again, with a young
Yeah.
child, it's a little difficult to try and
Yeah.
make the time to make that happen. But I very
Hmm.
much enjoy and appreciate, slow, long format kind of landscape photography. And I have Mamiya 7 that I absolutely adore, and I think it's. I've done a little bit of landscape film photography on that, and it's an absolute joy to
Yeah.
shoot with. And I hope to do more of it in the future. And I think it's a great way to challenge yourself because it's a very different discipline of photography. And
Yeah.
I think it helps you to become better at other forms of photography, like product
Absolutely.
photography, like
Yeah.
lifestyle. I think it's good to
Yeah.
practice lots of different kinds of disciplines of photography.
Totally. No, I agree. I think there's things that they all sort of share in different ways and you learn through experience. I think I'm very timid, honestly, when it comes to landscape photography. There's a lot I do really well when there's a subject and there's something that I can see right in front of me, whether that's, I don't know, a mug that I'm holding or a watch or a person. When it comes to landscape, I almost like, I don't know where to really put my focus
Hmm.
and things that can be so vast and large and big. It's hard. It's a challenge for me, and I think
It
it's a good
is.
challenge. I like to play with it when I go on these trips and vacations and go different places, to try to get better at landscape photography because it is such a challenge to really nail something that doesn't have a small subject part of it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very like kind of therapeutic too when you're shooting stuff like that out in the middle of a forest or mountains or desert or whatever that is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's a very therapeutic form of photography.
Yeah,
And I agree. It is really challenging. It's
yeah,
exceptionally hard, especially when you're a photographer that primarily focuses on a subject.
yeah,
It's hard to feel good about the shots that you're taking.
totally.
And I think landscape photography, like street photography, is one of those disciplines where you shouldn't go out expecting to take an amazing frameable photo every single time.
Yeah.
Like your hit rate will probably be really, really, really low.
Yeah.
But when you get the one that you like, the
Yeah,
reward will feel immense.
totally. Absolutely. Maybe time for one more question here. This is kind of a fun one. How long, and this may go in line with or landscape photography, but Mike asked, how long have you sat for the perfect shot before? In
60
one
seconds
spot, really, 60 seconds.
for the hands to come around the dial.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it
I
happens a
don't,
lot. Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of landscape photography
Yeah.
to really warrant me sitting in a place
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah. Or
So
even, you were
it's
talking about
relative.
being at the F1 race. You probably sat in that spot for a while trying to
Yeah,
capture the right, um, in focus car going by.
yeah, totally. That's a great example. And I think, yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of those situations where you're doing the same thing over and over again until you get
yeah,
a handful of shots or the shot.
yeah.
So, yeah, racing is definitely one of them, or cycling for that matter. That's a tricky one to
True.
get right as well.
Hmm.
So, yeah, definitely an hour plus sometimes just getting, that one angle of the road with the right amount of people in it or the right pan or whatever. But
Yeah.
with watches, yeah, it's waiting until the hands, the seconds hand comes around on the dial and is in the right spot. So
Yeah, totally. I think, yeah, it's similar for me. Sometimes you set it a few, maybe seconds or minute before, and then you're sitting there waiting to take the shot as you've got
yeah,
it all lined up. But a pain point is these digital G-Shocks, which is not so much something we're worried about when we're doing hands-on reviews of getting the time just right, but we've done commercial work, both you and I, and brands can be particular about where what time they want the watch set to, and if at all possible, I beg and beg and beg for a prototype or a non-working model, but it doesn't always happen. And that's a situation where you're usually setting it a minute before, and if you don't get the shot and then you have to reset it, oh man, it's such a pain.
Totally. And also that new generation of digital watches like the G-Shock and the Mudmaster and all that kind of stuff, they make you set it through an app. On a phone, or the way in which you set the time on the watch is very convoluted because they've got lots of buttons or no buttons. And I felt the same frustration with shooting those watches, and I had the same thought too, and mine was just a little different from yours though. I said to one of the executives at Casio, I'm like, can you put like a
demo feature mode? Yeah, exactly.
That just sets the time to something aesthetically
I felt like pleasing. They had that at one point in the past, and then they sort of gotten rid of it. But you would think that would be good for them to have on these store models that are sitting in a boutique or a department store, just to put it on demo mode.
It seems like an easy thing to implement.
Yeah. Come on, listen to us.
Much easier than making a prototype model that there's only one or a handful of, and getting those around to impress people that you want to photograph it.
Yeah.
If you have it in every single watch and it's just a small software change, I don't know, but
totally. We've joked at that's so frustrating. We've joked at Worn and Wound for years that we were going to try to push this movement of not really caring about 1010 and how the industry just needs to get away from that. And look, I understand the aesthetics of it, and I think with high-end product photography, yes, it makes sense. It looks nice. It allows the logo to be seen, the brand name on the dial. But I think with everything else, if you're shooting lifestyle, if you're shooting a person out on the street, I do not want to see the watch set to 1010 because that's not realistic at all, bar the 1 minute that someone's actually wearing it at that time. And it's just silly. It's just so silly. So we've worked with brands that are just like, and that's the way we're going to shoot it. And when we do partnership projects, they understand that outside of that studio, this is not going to be set to 1010 or 1008 or whatever it is.
I think that's a great approach, and I would go one further and say that is great. My only exception to that rule would be if the hands were overlapping each other, like they were both stacked up in a single line. That's probably the only time that I would change it. But other than that, I think,
because it does look a little wonky, and you want people to see the detail of the hands and the seconds. And I do try to use the shots that are all sort of separated out while still maintaining visibility of the logo somewhere in there. But yeah, we all are very silly. I think it's funny, and I need to do it more when I take just wrist shots for Instagram. I just need to keep the watch on whatever it's set to and not really care. I need to let that go a little bit myself.
I think that's a great approach, and I fully endorse breaking the mold on not having to set watches to 1010.
Yeah, totally. Well, Liam, it's been awesome having you on the podcast today. Very sad that Zach Kazan couldn't make it. We miss him. Hopefully he'll be around for the next one. If folks want to follow what you're doing, we'll put some links to Liam's latest work on Worn and Wound in the description below. And he's got some exciting stuff still coming up around the corner, which will be really fun. And Liam, they can follow you on Instagram too at Crownwise. Yeah, that is your watch account. And you have a cycling account too, I think.
I do, yeah.
You're still pretty active on that? Not as active on the cycling side anymore. Yeah.
I hope to get back to it soon, but not at the moment.
Yeah. Well, again, it's been awesome having you. Thanks to all of our Worn and Wound Plus members for submitting questions today. These were great ones. We didn't even get through all of them. Maybe we'll do a round 2, and we'll do another episode just talking about photography stuff.
Absolutely, they were great questions, and thank you for having me. And I really enjoyed chatting about all this stuff. It's not often I get to nerd out with someone else who loves what I love as well. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like we could probably talk for hours and hours about watch photography and photography in general and cameras and gear. We can get into it.
Absolutely.
That's what we need to do. We'll do another episode and we'll talk about gear and stuff, because I know you're a gearhead like I am too.
Let's do it.
Cool. Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, if you have any questions, don't forget that you can email us at info@wornandwound.com. You can also suggest episodes that you want us to cover and people you want us to talk to. And until next time, we'll see you later.